My neighbor's dream wedding turned into a hilariously epic fail when I unleashed my secret weapon on her stolen pool. You won't believe what happened next. My tranquil Saturday morning was shattered by an absurd sight. White chairs and pastel balloons hovering over my backyard fence, as if a flock of surreal migratory birds had landed. At first, I chuckled, thinking some neighborhood kids were staging a whimsical rebellion. But then, a shrill, unmistakable shriek pierced the quiet air. It was Brittany, not her usual obnoxious complaints, mind you, but a strangely giddy, high-pitched squeal about the perfect backdrop and getting the lighting just right. What on earth was happening? I stumbled onto my patio, nearly dropping my steaming mug. My jaw literally dropped. My pool, my cherished oasis, the one I meticulously maintained and paid a fortune to keep pristine, was now the setting for a full-blown bridal shower. A lavish streamer arch framed the diving board. A fancy champagne bar had usurped my grill's rightful spot. Women draped in identical silk robes struck poses with elegant cocktails, looking like they'd stepped straight out of a glossy magazine. And there, at the epicenter of this bizarre spectacle, was Brittany herself, a veil shimmering, waving her arms like a director orchestrating a blockbuster film. When I managed to call her name, she barely glanced my way, offering a dismissive flick of her hand, as if I were a waiter she'd summoned for more Prosecco. "Oh, Sarah," she chirped, her voice carrying across the lawn. The venue changed at the last minute. My cousin's place just was photogenic enough. She didn't even bother to mask the audacity of invading my private property, setting up an entire event without a single word of permission. In her entitled mind, my backyard was apparently a public park, a community amenity for her convenience. Her reasoning was as breathtakingly arrogant as it was utterly illogical. She actually tried to claim the HOA technically allowed short-term community gatherings if they promoted goodwill. Goodwill? I wasn't even part of the HOA. Her argument was as flimsy as a wet tissue. A furious impulse surged through me. I could have charged down there, ripped down her ridiculous decorations, called the police and watched the drama unfold. But then, a calmer, more insidious thought took hold. There are moments when you realize that direct confrontation is a complete waste of precious energy. This was one of them. Brittany's greatest vulnerability was her meticulously crafted image. This shower was clearly destined for a massive social media display, a grand illusion of effortless luxury and absolute control. A public meltdown from me would only turn her into a martyr. No, giving her exactly what she wanted, but in a way she never expected, that held far more potential for true, lasting satisfaction. My first call was to David, a friend in pool maintenance who owed me a big favor. I explained I needed something harmless, but visually spectacular, a highly concentrated blue tint for pools, the kind that transforms resort lagoons into breathtaking sapphire jewels. It wouldn't stain skin or damage anything, I knew, but it would turn the water such an intense, otherworldly blue that cameras would simply revolt. Skin tones would warp, white dresses would glow like alien garments, and her high-end photo shoot, it would look like something ripped from a surrealist nightmare. David burst out laughing. 15 minutes, Sarah, he promised. I watched from my kitchen window as more guests arrived, teetering on stilettos, giggling as they dipped their toes into my water. Brittany preened for the cameras, arms outstretched as if she truly owned the world. That smug, self-satisfied smirk was plastered across her face, the look of someone who thought they'd just pulled off the ultimate power play. When David's van pulled up, I slipped him through the side gate. He worked quickly, pouring the vibrant dye into the deep end, letting the pool pump do the rest. Within minutes, my pool's sparkling turquoise had morphed into a mesmerizing, impossibly rich blue, as if a giant sapphire had dissolved in my backyard. No one noticed. Not at first. They were too busy clinking glasses and sharing vapid jokes. But then, the professional photographer arrived. He took one look through his viewfinder, frowned, adjusted his settings, and tried again. A hesitant, almost panicked smile flickered across his face, clearly unsure how to tell his demanding client that her perfect aesthetic was about to resemble a brochure for a sunken city. Brittany, of course, was oblivious. She was too busy directing her bridesmaids to trail their gauzy dresses in the sapphire water for that dreamy mermaid vibe. I bit my lips so hard I nearly choked, suppressing a burst of triumphant laughter. That's when the second phase of my strategy began. If Britney wanted to declare my property a public venue, then public it would truly become. I whipped out my phone and posted a quick, cheerful invitation on the neighborhood forum. Free swim at Sarah's place today. Snacks, music, open till sunset. Bring the kids, floaties and sunscreen. This was the kind of offer my neighbors never ever refused. I could already picture the delightful chaos that would ensue when dozens of uninvited locals crashed her exclusive photo shoot. And oh, did they arrive? Within 20 minutes, the first wave of kids cannonballed into the impossibly blue water, shrieking with delight. Parents unfolded lawn chairs. Someone even wheeled in a cooler. Britney's meticulously planned, glossy bridal shower evaporated into a wet, raucous block party before she could even process what was happening. She tried to shout over the blaring music, claiming she'd reserved the space, which only made people laugh harder. When she attempted to herd her bewildered guests into a corner for photos, they found themselves shoulder to shoulder with children doing belly flops. Her poor fiancé looked like he wanted the earth to swallow him whole. The photographer, bless his heart, kept trying to salvage the shots, but every frame captured the blurred background of happy chaos, dripping wet children, and that haunting unearthly blue glow on every single surface. Britney's frustration escalated with every futile click of the camera. When she finally stomped onto my deck, her face a mask of rage, demanding I put a stop to this madness, I was calmly refilling my coffee cup. "Oh, Britney," I said, a sweet smile playing on my lips. "You're welcome to keep using the pool, darling, as long as you don't mind sharing it with the entire neighborhood. After all, the HOA encourages community gatherings, right?" Her face cycled through at least 4 shades of crimson before she whirled around, muttering threats about calling the police. She never did, though. Deep down she knew she had no ground to stand on. As the afternoon wore on, the dye continued its magnificent work. Bridesmaids in delicate pink emerged from the pool, looking like bizarre, aquatic mannequins. Britney's pristine white veil took on an almost radioactive glow. Every forced smile in the photos looked just a little too sharp, every shadow unnaturally deep. Guests began to trickle away early, grumbling about smeared makeup and humidity-frizzed hair. Eventually Britney was left standing by the pool, a lone plastic champagne flute in her hand, staring at the churning blue water as if it had personally betrayed her. When the last folding chair was finally carried off, I descended to inspect my domain. Nothing was broken, nothing stolen, just a few damp towels and the faint, sweet scent of cheap sparkling wine. The pool shimmered in the evening light, its sapphire hue still shockingly intense. I knew the photos would arrive within days, and that's when the real show would begin. This wasn't about explosive, dramatic revenge. This was about planting a tiny, quiet seed of irreversible embarrassment that would blossom long after the event itself was a distant memory. And I had a distinct feeling this was merely the first move in a much grander game. By Tuesday morning I had definitive confirmation. The dye had done its job beautifully. I didn't hear it from Britney directly. She certainly wasn't speaking to me, but from 2 separate neighbors who couldn't resist stopping me on my morning stroll. Both had been shown the infamous photos. Both had to pause mid-sentence, gasping with laughter. Apparently every single shot looked like it belonged on the set of a terrible sci-fi movie. The water was a luminous, unnatural cobalt that rendered skin pale and almost ghostly gray, as if everyone had just escaped a submarine disaster. The white dresses glowed with an impossible neon intensity that no amount of editing could remove without turning them into shapeless smudges. And Britney's meticulously curled, platinum blonde hair, her crowning glory, had a faint, unsettling blue halo in every single frame. Photoshop, it seemed, was no match for my artistic intervention. Britney's reaction, according to one eyewitness, was nothing short of spectacular. First, denial. She accused the photographer of rank incompetence. Then, furious anger. She threatened to sue him for ruining her memory.